Regardless of where you are in the world, you owe it to yourself to have a strong sense of self. Yes, you may not be born with a strong sense of self, but there are practical things that you can do that can enable you to nurture and master having that strong sense of self. Today, we're going to be talking about self mastery and why it is important. It is important because of the fact that we have so many people going through life without having a sense of self. You're going through life without having a sense of purpose. You're going through life without having a sense of direction. And when you want to master who you are, it is absolutely necessary for you to commit the time, the talent, and the resources to understand these essential characteristics of self. The big question I want you to ask yourself is, are you a master of self or are you a puppet to self? To be a puppet to self, it means that you are just going through life. Wherever the ebb and flow of life goes, you flow with it. You have no sense of direction. That's the last place that you want to be with your life. So today we're going to be talking to you when you put yourself in the position of strength to take ownership over your life, how it's going to set you up for success and possibly position you to build wealth like a pro. Now, to help me with today's conversation, I have two dynamic personalities that are going to join the conversation and really help me navigate these talking points. First of all, I have Clement Frank. And in the event that you're wondering who is Clement Frank, you've seen him for the first time. He is an economist, and he is also a leader by practice. And he's soon to release his new book that will really help you to understand elements of economics and elements of leadership that you need for business and for life. So I want to welcome Frank. How are you, my friend?
Fantastic.
Oh,
Oh,
great to have you.
delightful, delightful.
Delightful. No more F's, right? I hear you. We also have uh, Peter Gould Scott, and in the event that you're wondering who is Peter Gould Scott, well, he is a theologist by profession, and I've seen this guy in the past. I've seen when he gets into his mood and he starts to bring up all the emotion when he starts to teach. You know, he's very passionate about it. But he's also the kind of guy, he's the brain behind Legacy Chronicle and the Human Growth Program. Why? Because one of his focus is really helping people to become the best version of themselves. And he would say to you, where's your master plan for life? If you don't have your master plan for life, you're not ready to start living life. You're not anchored in a position of strength. You're going to be like the ebb and flow. So, welcome, Peter. Great to have you here today.
Good to be here, Gary.
Awesome. All right. I want to start off today's conversation by looking at self mastery. You know, I believe that as a Christian, you are socialized to the fact that we were made in the image and likeness of Christ. We were socialized to the fact, biblical fact, that after Christ took the earth and made man, he transformed his breath of life into us. And the way I interpret he transformed his breath of life into us is his breath of life is his DNA. So we have his DNA inside of us. But it is very strange that we have the DNA of such a miraculous being, the creator of the universe. But very often we don't live 1% of the rich potential that we have inside of us, largely because there's not much focus on self mastery. And I do believe that we owe it as leaders, as responsible people who have this awareness to speak to the issue. And where necessary, table practical solutions that can help people, the people of the world, to live a better quality of life. I want to say this. One of the reasons we do a whole lot of what we do, and for example, one of the things that we're preparing to do right now is to launch the Science of Success University, is to help humanity. We see millions of people across the world who have great potential. including academics. But in spite of how hard they work, is in spite of how the strategies that they come up with to position themselves to achieve greatness, to master themselves, they seems to be going 10 step backwards. So what the Science of Success University is going to be doing is really working with people to help them to understand there's a better way in looking at life. There's a better way in looking at success. So we're going to help them to see life in terms of what the science is saying about success, what the theory is saying about success, and how you need to apply yourself to attain success. So whether you're going after success in business or success in life, whether you want to master who you are in alignment with business or, just to build wealth, the Science of Success University is going to set you up for success because we will introduce tools that are being deployed right now across the world. And there's a lot of evidence to really help people to learn how to master themselves. Today, I will drop some nuggets also. I will talk about what is success because the next thing that we see is that millions of people across the world they struggle to put meaning to the term success. Now we have been interfacing with so many persons from various parts of the world, and when we ask the question, "What is success?" If we have interfaced with 1,000 persons, we have been given 1,000 different answers. And what we are seeing also is that if you're struggling to define what is success, if you're struggling to define what exactly is self mastery, it's very likely that is one of the main reasons why you're struggling to accomplish anything of great significance in those areas. You have to be clear because when you become clear, it really enables you to be more strategic as you position yourself to attain the objective because of the clarity that you have. But I'm going to pause here for now and I'm going to open up to my colleague. I'm going to start with Frank. And today is a lighter day. Just before I come to Frank, I want to say today is Friday. We normally go very light on Friday. So I want to thank the over 40,000 persons who have subscribed to this platform over the last 3 to 4 months. And thank you. And I also want to encourage um, the over 70% of those persons who are viewing the program who have not yet subscribed. I want to encourage you to press that subscription button. It's free. And you will be the first to get these content that we are bringing to you on a regular basis. With that being said, Master Frank, all to you.
Hi, good morning. Great being here, great to share whatever little nuggets I have. And we're looking at puppet or master. How do you want to live your life?
What's in
I
your wallet?
I read an article as I looked at the topic. I read an article in LinkedIn, which where they were talking about the relationship between money and happiness, and so they shared results of a national happiness survey, which was led by a Belgian university, and
Mhm.
they took like about 3,770 Belgian participants for the study. And three things are considered to depend to determine happiness: money, health, and social relationships. Now, money contributes to happiness, but there is no linear relationship between money and happiness. The results show that people with a net income of more than 4,500 euros would see their quality of life decrease because more money doesn't lead to more happiness. On the other hand, the survey showed a linear relationship between happiness and health and social relationships. And the post from LinkedIn, they were all about people killing themselves for a job, never taking vacation until they come to a red light and have no other choice than to make a complete stop. Now, I want to ask you, do you recognize yourself in this? Did you ever ask yourself, am I constantly plugged in? What do I want more? More money? More recognition from, let's say, a manager, colleagues, clients? Do you want more impact and control on companies' decisions? Or more to not get bored? And does it really give you satisfaction? And how far are you going to go until the red light? Remember the linear relationship between happiness and health. You need to know your real priorities. You need to take consciously care of setting up and keeping a good work life balance. Think about what and who really matter to you. I mean, really. Oh, yes, you can choose to work for a company that supports, trusts, respect, appreciates its employees, and that cares about them. And yes, you can focus on what you might already have for free: a loving partner, a supportive family, friends you can count on, a healthy body. Or you can work on it and develop it. Remember the linear relationship between social relationships and health on the one hand, and happiness on the other hand. Need to stop acting as if you're a puppet whose life is running by everything outside of yourself. Stop talking about and thinking about all the people, those places, these circumstances, things that are holding you back from living a fulfilling life. And if you really want to be the master of your life, if you really want to live a life that has meaning, that has passion and purpose, then you need to start from now. Do at least one thing a day that really matters to you. You always have a choice in what you do until you come to the red light. And you have no other choice than to make a complete stop. Mahatma Gandhi says the future depends on you. So loyal employees work very hard, but they do not skip a gym, a doctor appointment, or a child's football game. Over to you, Gary.
Uh, Thanks to that share, Frank. And you've asked a number of important questions, and I want to just respond to some of them because they are very important questions. One, you ask, why is it that people are always on the go? And from the research that we are doing at the Science of Success University, what it is saying is that people are always on the go because they are trained to trade time for money. While there's nothing wrong in trading time for money, what we have seen is that the anticipated expectations from doing so is way below their expectations. So they have no choice because they have personal goals to achieve, they have family goals to achieve, and largely because that single source of income is inadequate to help them to live up to those expectations, they have a challenge. So, coming out of the Science of Success University, we have developed Pathway 5. And in Pathway 5, we speak to the interest of trading time for money, but then we also spoke to the importance of understanding what is asset accumulation and wealth management. So, what asset accumulation and wealth management helps the individual to learn is how money can go to work for you. Because when money are working for you, guess what? It don't have a knockoff time. But to do this and do this well, it is so important for you to understand capital markets ecosystem, of which the Science of Success University, under the flagship of Pathway 5, will help the general public to understand how to apply these tools, these techniques, these strategies and systems to position themselves to achieve financial greatness. Now, let me say this. I do believe that work is important because without it, a lot can go wrong. But there are better ways of doing things. In the Science of Success University, we are looking at the science of various issues. We are looking at the theory, we are looking at the practice, all in an effort to position people to come into greatness. You also mentioned things that makes people happy: money, health, and relationships. And I certainly agree with that. And you would have often hear me say that relationship is the mother of all social system, because with relationships, you're going to definitely have access to capital if you know how to leverage it in the right way. And with health, is something that's another subject matter for us to go deep into, because very often, as you master self, it's important to recognize that the ability to master yourself is not only based on the thesis that is being put in front of you. You need to be aware of so many other things that may be affecting your health, that is preventing you from having, the right frame of mind as you internalize information. I don't want to get into all of that today, but I think each of the points that you've raised is important. But I think each one of them can be examined in their individual case to look at strengths and weaknesses. But great points, Frank. I now want to turn to Peter Go Scott. And I know you're going to perhaps look at the master plan and perhaps look at this from a theological standpoint. But what we want to bring out today is how we can really help people to master self. I think this is one thing that you owe to yourself as a human being, is to make that type of commitment to self, to master who you are. You owe it to yourself. When you master who you are, you can do more for yourself. You can do more for your offspring. You can do more for society. All right. It is so important. But when you're unable to do this, you're like a puppet of self. And that's the last thing that you want to be. I would say the only puppet in the room should be money. The only puppet in the room should be money, not humanity. Peter, all to you, my friend.
And it's a delight as usual to be here, Gary. And I loved your introduction this morning. It was just it was so beautiful. Because the
Thank you.
of self in what we're doing today, it goes to what is driving everything that life is. And as you mentioned, are we masters, or are we puppets? And it seemed to be that a large portion of what life turns out to be today, it seems as if there are others who are pulling strings. And this is why this topic is so important, because if you do not have a sense of understanding of who you are, more likely that somebody else is determining who you are and are manipulating whatever it is they can, where we are concerned. So it's always important for people to take charge of themselves. And in particularly when we talk about human growth and development, and in the context of seeing an individual, the number one thing that we want individuals to see or to understand is something that you mentioned even earlier, because a lot of times if we do not define a thing, how on earth are we going to grasp it? And so many persons are pursuing all these elements. They're pursuing money and they don't know what money is. As you mentioned, they're pursuing success and they have not taken the time to define what success is. And the same is true where individuals are seeking to talk about even self, or there is so much about self that people are talking about, on what they want to do with themselves, without first even defining and having a sense of clarity on who they are. And this is why we love topics like this, because the first thing that we want individuals to understand is that the human being is a complex, it's very complex to the definition of what human is. And when we understand, so we talk about the complexity of human simplicity. And the reason why we say the complexity of human simplicity, because everything that has do with human person, it, it is, it is. Even just to define the human person, it is quite complex. And so when we look at the nine dimension of who a human person is, then we know that we look in the mirror and we can see ourselves. We see the body that we are living in, but it goes beyond just the body that we live in. Inside of the body is a soul, and in the depth of who we are is the human spirit, or the divine person of who we are. And when we begin to have an understanding of how that relates, because each of those three dimensions, whether it is our physical form or biological form, and the which goes into extension the broad concept of what life is, physical life, even that is a very complex um, area. Complex. There are so many complexities within that. Then when you look at the six dimensions of the soul or the mind, that again there are complexities to deal with all of that. And not to mention now the divine nature of the human person that you mentioned earlier, that we were created in the image and in the likeness of God. And no matter how we try to go around that, the issue is that until we grasp and embrace that there is someone greater than who we are, then this is why we are having all of these issues that we're having where life is concerned. Because, and that is what caused the situation to become even more complex, because what it is that we are going in routes or trying to achieve certain outcomes without facing the fact or dealing with the truth where our humanity is concerned. So to respond effectively, now we have to simplify. So because it is complex, then we need to bring some simplicity to the complexity. So now we talk about the simplicity of human complexity. And the simplicity of human complexity is to understand that all these complexities is governed by laws. So when you talk about the biological concepts of the human being, to make that understandable is to understand that there are laws, rules and laws that govern our physical world. And the same thing is true for our uh, psychology or and the world of the mind, and the same thing is true for the divine realm of human existence. So once we begin to come to this understanding that laws exist, and when I say laws here, I'm not talking about laws that human makes, that if you run the traffic light, then that's not a law, that's a rule, because I can get away with that if nobody sees me. Anything that I can get away with where nobody sees, it's really a rule. And we want to, in this context, to try to get individuals to understand the seriousness of laws, because you cannot break a law and get away with it. You can't argue with a law. So gravity, you can't argue with gravity, because if you jump off a building, the law always work. The law always win. So the importance of simplifying things is to understand the law that governs that particular matter, which now takes us into the subject topic of what we're dealing with today: mastery. What is mastery? Mastery is how much do we understand the laws that governs that particular area? How much do we understand the laws that govern the biological?
Peter, I'm not hearing you. Peter? Hi, Peter. Hi, Peter. Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me? All right. Log out and log in back. Log out and log in back. Any, are you hearing me now? Still not hearing me? Are you hearing? Are you hearing me now? All right, but I'm not hearing you. So, hi, Peter. Hello? All right, but I'm not hearing you. So, hi, Peter. Hello? All right, but I'm not hearing you. So, hello? All right, but I'm not Yeah, Peter, you're all right. You exit again. Hi, Clement. Say
Hi,
something. Let me.
you hearing me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. Peter.
I'm not hearing Peter, and we had a little issue with the computer here.
Yeah, we did. Peter, exit. All right. You hear me, right, friend?
Yeah, very. I'm now hearing you. I had to come out because everything was like shut down.
All right, 1 second.
So the issue is on my side.
All right.
The entire system had a challenge.
Okay.
All right. Frank, you just continue for a minute. I'm gonna take it. I'm trying to switch this screen.
You want me to?
Right. So in while Gary's working on the technical area, Frank, I guess we should just continue the conversation for those individuals who are participating, looking at us right now. So what's the next in mastery, gaining mastery? What are those things that think individuals ought to do?
The,
It,
devil-
here, Gary.
the devil don't want to hear the name of Jesus at all, man. But let you know that we got we armor, right? That we prepared to do battle, right? All right, Peter. A large part of what you're saying got blacked out because something just went wrong, and I
Okay.
was you wasn't hearing me. The devil just coming and tried to have a field here, but we fighting back, right? We
It's still
fighting.
fun. It's a part of the fun.
You got it. I'm going to
Yeah.
talk a little bit about success and what I think is necessary to position yourself to activate your greatness. I think it is important to start with your sense of self. As you set yourself up to master who you are and not be a puppet, it's important for you to master your sense of self. Now, as we talk about your sense of self, we are talking about having a positive sense of self. There's so much things about life that sometimes can force you to have that negative sense of self. You don't want that because that negative sense of self doesn't define you. What helps with you having a positive sense of self is you being able to develop your gratitude board. So every morning you look at that gratitude board and you look at all the things that you're grateful for. Perhaps you should begin that you have life, you have hope, you have possibilities. Embrace all of this. and use all of this as a springboard to joy, happiness, and excitement. All right. And the next that I want to say, as you look at your gratitude board, you want to make a commitment every day of your life to achieve two things. One is having value that people value. I always talk about this: have value that people value, and to become value that people value. Now, one helps you to understand the importance of having asset accumulation, and the second helps you to understand how to invest in yourself. You want to invest in yourself to ensure that you're value to yourself and to others. And that's definitely plays a pivotal role in helping you to get that positive sense of self. And you owe it to yourself to accomplish that. Yes, Fridays is all about you. We're gonna make it selfish about you because we're gonna say this all the time until you get to your brain that you owe it to yourself to invest in who you are. So as you focus now on your sense of self, it's important to have a sense of purpose. And these are things that you want to be successful with. It doesn't make sense to go through life and you don't have a sense of purpose. We have seen a lot of wealthy people commit suicide. You have the money, but then you don't feel joy and happiness and excitement. You feel lost in the world because you don't have purpose. Now, let me say this from my experience and from my knowledge and working with people all over the world. Your purpose is to serve. So whether you're a lawyer, doctor, an engineer, or public speaker, your purpose is to serve. So you want to find a way in which you can serve that truly gives you joy, happiness, and excitement. You want to serve. All right. Identify those places. And then the last part is you must have a sense of direction. You must have an outlet in which you're pouring your talents. All right. You must have an outlet in where you're pouring your talents. So I'm going to come and talk a little bit now about success because I did say we are seeing millions of people across the world. You're struggling with, definitions of success. So to help our community to define this, we have put success into three categories. One is what we call definitions of success. So you have what is known as average success. And what is average success? Average success might be, you know, you decide to love you. It might appear to be average, but I consider that also to be exceptional. Loving you. It might be that you decide to take a walk in the park and get some fresh air. It might be that you make a commitment to go to gym weekly. That's small and average success. But you still need to celebrate the small successes. What is mid-level success? We call mid-level success. Mid-level success might be that you decide to start a business and drive that business to perhaps generate $1 million a year. That is mid-level success. So you want to put these things into category. You want to define what it means to you. And of course, where success varies is that the success that Peter is going after may be different from the success that Frank is going after. So there's where the differences comes in. But regardless of the differences, you want to view them as being small and average, mid-level and major. In terms of major accomplishments, is where you are now able to perhaps say, let's start a business, let's scale that business, and let's take that business IPO, where you're now able to attract millions and perhaps billions of dollars to that platform, to your business, where that will allow you to attain financial independence. Now, what I'm saying is that all of this is possible. So whether you are on the paycheck to paycheck cycle, whether you are trading time for money, I want you to ask yourself a very important question. Does it make sense to still learn money and how money works and possibly how you can position yourself to make major financial breakthrough? All right. And if not, why not? Does it make sense? Does it mean that you can do more for yourself? Does it mean that you can do more for your loved ones? So, mastering who you are is to define what success you want in your life, is to define how you're going to live a purpose driven life, is to define how you're going to direct yourself with a decision to attain that level of success that you want. And what the Science of Success University is doing for you, is going to do for you, is to really help you to get the kind of clarity that you deserve to go after success. So, as we define success, we then go one step further. We ask, what is the art of success? So, in this context, we are viewing art in the terms of what strategies are you using for success? What tools are you using for success? What systems, what processes are you using for success? And do you have these things systemized? This is success leaf clues. And the only reason that you're distant from success, depending on the level of success that you want, is most likely because you don't have the intelligence. You want to have an intelligent machine that is working with you, that is going to position you to achieve success regardless of small and average, mid, or large and major accomplishment. What does the science says about this? What does the theory says about this? What does the practice says about this? And you owe it to yourself to ensure that you have this body of knowledge. So we help you to define success, then we help you to identify the right tools to position yourself for success, and then we push one step further, where we help you to understand how to see success, how to view success in the real context of science. Now, why do we say science? Because science is where all the data lies. Science gives you the high reward. You can look at successful people and you can see what are the best practices. So if you're able to put 10 successful people together and see what are their roadmap to success, that gives you some scientific proof. And the scientific proof will reveal high reward, measurable results, predictable outcome with the highest degree of accuracy. Now, the Science of Success University is going to really set you up for success. So whether you're trading your time for money, you still want to know how to leverage money to position yourself for financial greatness, we're going to go deep into these concepts to ensure that you win. Now, let me tell you this. I trade time for money, and I'm proud of that because I'm doing something that I'm very passionate about. And I wouldn't stop that for anything under the sun. I possibly would get sick if I stopped trading my time for money. But guess what else? Guess what else? I also know exactly how to trade money to make money. All right. And that's exactly what I'm doing too. And believe me, I was just like you. I had a management consultancy firm and I had a whole bunch of staff. And sometimes when the staff going home, what happened? I gone to the office and I'm working, way into the night, way into the morning because I want to complete the project. I don't want to tell my client we didn't finish on time. That is slave driving. I know many of you perhaps feel this way because you want money to do all of these things for yourself and for your loved ones. But I've learned a better way. And our mission is to share with you our knowledge, our experiences, so you can position yourself for financial greatness. You can position yourself to experience what we call self-mastery. Frank, all to you, my friend.
I'm happy that every technology has a master behind it, and so we can always overcome the little challenges that we will face day to day.
Yep, you got it. But this is life. Just
Yeah.
before you go out, like this is life, and sometimes when some of these challenges come and actually you want to give up. No, man.
You'll always feel
When
it.
challenges come, you must got the gloves on. Or in
Yes.
my case, you must know some shorter can, right?
I don't ever want to get in. I don't want to get in an argument with you when we are physically in the same space.
No, you're safe. You protected. No, we would only use our skill sets
He's
to
one
insulate.
of Frank. carry him around as our bodyguard. That's what.
Yeah, I will definitely. He and the two boys.
Yes,
Yeah,
It,
Frank, I'll tell
it
you.
was it was Theodore Roosevelt, the former U.S. president, that says courage, hard work, self mastery, and intelligent effort are all essential to successful life. What do you think when you hear the term self mastery? You might picture someone like Gary, martial arts master, who's calm, focused, and in control at all times. Or maybe you imagine people who have their lives planned and are in control of their own future. So, do you show these traits on a regular basis? Do you feel in control of your career and goals? Or, like many people, do you feel that you should take more control of your actions and emotions? So, let's examine self mastery and let's look at how what you can do to develop it within yourself. When you develop self mastery, you have the ability to control yourself in all situations, and you move forward consciously and steadily towards whatever set goals you have. You know your purpose, you have the self discipline needed to do things in a deliberate, focused, and honorable way. Because self mastery also means mastering your emotions, your impulses, and actions, and it's vital if you want to achieve your goals in life. So think about people you know who don't have any self mastery. Probably impulsive and rash. They might let their emotions control them, yell at colleagues when they're angry, and then being overly polite to make up for this later. So these are people who are unpredictable, and as a result, people see them as untrustworthy. And when you demonstrate self mastery at work, you prove to your colleagues that you have the inner strength and steadiness needed for effective leadership. So it's well worth the effort to invest time developing self mastery. If you like to become a happier and more balanced person, you'll find that opportunities arise because of this. So, how do you develop self mastery? Since self mastery is such a broad term that covers many aspects of your personal and professional life, develop self mastery can mean working on many of these areas. So, it may be the best to focus one or two areas at a time so you don't become overwhelmed. So, the first thing you can look at is goals, because self mastery starts with a vision of how you want your life to be. And if you think about people who you know who have incredible self discipline, chances are that they know exactly where they want to go in life. And this vision gives them the strength to get there. And that is why it's important to start with a clear vision of your short term and long term objectives. Learn how to set personal goals. Get into the habit of moving toward those goals every day. The clearer you are about what you want to achieve in life, the easier it is to move forward calmly and confidently. What about your attitude and emotions? They play a major role in self mastery. And those who show strong self mastery don't let their emotions control them. They control their own emotions. You focus on something positive every day. Be grateful for things, even if these are just things like that fact that you do a job you enjoy or that the weather is beautiful on your drive to work. Gary talked about a gratitude board. Having gratitude and a positive outlook will set the tone for the rest of your day. You need to resist the temptation to blame yourself when things go wrong because that is self sabotaging, which is a quick and cruel way of stopping yourself from reaching your true potential. And if you find that you're undermining yourself, you need to consciously make yourself stop. Instead, think of something positive and encouraging. And you can also change negative thinking with cognitive restructuring. Write down the situation that is causing your negative thoughts, and next write down the emotions you feel and list the automatic thoughts you have while experiencing those emotions. Then list the evidence that supports these negative thoughts and the evidence that refutes them. And finally, list some fair, balanced objectives about the situation. Because being able to manage and control your emotions helps you build emotional intelligence. And this is your awareness of other people's needs and emotions, and your knowledge of how your own emotions affect those around you. Those who have good self mastery are always aware of others, and they work hard to make sure that their emotions don't negatively impact other people. And there's a lot more like willpower and so on that we can go through, but because of time, I'll hand you over to Gary.
All right. Great points, Frank. Great points. I love that you made a point that people's emotion can affect you, and your emotion can affect each other. And what you want to do is to have super control over that. That's what really matters. And that also is part of the equation of self mastery. Someone mash your toe, and then, or someone, do something, and you said that person do things to upset you. Is that true or is that false? It means that you're not fully exercised the self mastery, because you're supposed to have a fair degree of control over recognizing something wrong was done, but perhaps not to the extent that it upset you, but perhaps to the extent that you know that you have to take action to correct it. All right, Peter, all to you, my friend.
Yeah, Gary. A mastery of self is understanding the laws that govern sense, governs the self, and success in general. Has, as we know, you mentioned earlier about, you know um, defining what success is. But the basic element of success is to understand that, no matter every area that we're seeking success, there are laws that govern that area. So the measurement of success then is, how much do I understand the laws that governs this area? And as we go through, each level, we now gain competence, and we go all the way to master. So basically what we're saying here, and why life is so problematic, it's because people are trying to usurp the laws that governs any given area of life. We're trying to get around the way how life is designed to be. So understanding how are we going to gain success in no matter what area that we touch, no matter in what area that we are building or developing, then we have to understand that what we're dealing with is just a set of laws. Once we understand that, then life becomes simple, because then what I need to do now is to have an approach that I don't know. So everybody starts at a beginner's level. I'm gonna research what laws. So if it is money that we're trying to deal with, there are laws that governs money. If it is relationships, there are relationships that governs laws. Governs There are laws that governs relation, right? If it is health, what is sickness? Sickness or diseases come about when we violate the laws of how the human biology works. So success is understanding how the laws work in the areas of life that we're seeking to master. And life becomes simple, and this is what we say is the simplicity of human complexity, because life is complex. But how do we simplify it? When we understand that there is a law govern this situation, and the reason why I'm having difficulty is just that I don't understand the concepts, what goes into make this thing works. And life becomes more simple because now all I need to do is to find somebody who can give me mentorship, who can give me the depth of what it is that I'm dealing with. And when we go through those, then life becomes, as you know, we can now build a master plan. And this is why the human growth process, because you can build a plan, a set of routines or a set of habits in how I'm going to move from a beginner to a master in grasping the understanding of these set of laws that govern this area. And we can build that master plan based upon, yes, my personal life and how all these relates to my personal life. So where my personal life is concerned, what are the laws that governs my body, my biology? And I build out what that plan is going to look like. In my personal life, what are the laws that governs my personal relationship, my relationship to self? There are certain things that we just must do, and if I don't do those things, what is going to happen? um, you know, there are laws that governs in my personal world of finances. There are laws, and I govern and I measure my success by how am I going to how am I what are the disciplines that I put in place to ensure that all these areas of my personal life, and then we can repeat that can be repeated. And mastery over self is to have these laws, and I'm working these laws in my personal life. Then success now can now move over. Let me now take this as I'm gaining success in my as an individual personally. Then I now can seek to share those success with somebody else that I want to have a close relationship with, where perhaps marriage is concerned. And that now moves into the dimension of family. And now I'm going to pass on those success disciplines and to now my offsprings and to children. And so all throughout life, it is just to move. It is like a graduation of our understanding into broader circles in concentric, moving into that ripple effect of getting or applying to a much larger body of relationships. So from the personal, gaining this mastery over who I am, then I can share those success with another human being, forming a family, and then I can share those bodies of success to a larger body of individuals out into the community, and then the systems that goes into place at a corporate level. So we have, personal mastery, Gary. We also want to empower our audience to understand also that this is a lifetime. This is not something that we arrive. We'll never reach a level. Mastery is never. There's never a place where we can attain to and then think that we have arrived. Master is the one thing that even when you feel as if you get there, you realize that there is so much further to go. As the saying goes, that the room for improvement will always be the largest room of all, because when you get to what you think the horizon is, you realize that there's another horizon for you to conquer, and which gives the beauty of what life is all about, because now there's more, always more that we can do. But that's what makes life dynamic. That's what life makes life worth living.
Yeah, Peter. And on that point, I love the point because that in of itself speaks to the whole concept of self-actualization.
Mhm.
The more the appetite is fed, the more the appetite wants, and there's nothing wrong with that because part of the human evolution is to be growing from stage to stage. All right, growth. I think one of the greatest challenge lies when people feel stagnant, when people feel disconnected. But if you can have incremental growth in your life, guess what? You are on that pathway of self actualizing. The beauty about self and self growth is that you have so much of potential within you. I repeat this, you have so much of potential within you that at your best, you're still not your best. At your best, perhaps you still have not yet activated, 5% of your greatness. And we can look at an example, Peter. Every year we see technology is bumping up one step after the other. Today we see technology is bumping up so fast that it is actually pushing past what is perceived to be human intelligence. Because we haven't yet fully activated the human intelligence. The facts are showing that many of us, we haven't even used 5% of our brain power. But because of the attention placed on technology, we see that growth taking place in technology every year. The same principle applies. If humans are given a fair opportunity to grow and expand, you would see major changes taking place every so often. And that is why for me this topic is so important, self-mastery, because we will speak to a blueprint that is designed to help humanity to experience growth in some of the areas that that Frank spoke about early on. You want to be health conscious and know a pathway to embrace good health. You want to be relationship conscious, and that is to understand the pathway to nurture healthy, productive relationships that represents the collective.
Mhm.
And you want to be money conscious, so you can position yourself to embrace financial greatness. But what I've seen is that many persons, when it comes to money, money becomes a taboo subject. And I can tell you this, Peter, being a Christian has its blessing and its curse. One of the things that I struggle with is dealing with capital, dealing with money. I thought that talking about money and positioning yourself to build wealth was a taboo subject. I was grossly uncomfortable talking about money and wealth building until you start to have a family. You recognize that you got to get far, far, far away from that paycheck to paycheck cycle. So you had to now position yourself to, nurture some degree of mastery around money. And I know for a fact that we have millions of people across the world who perhaps have the same ideology and perhaps have the same mindset relating to money that is holding them back. And what this platform is going to do is to help them to reverse that. So I've taken away that from what you said, Peter. Peter, you have also spoke about the laws that governs each area of success you're going after. And I think that that was a very profound statement. Because if we are to study the situation that we want to experience growth and look at what historical data is saying, uh, we can take away a whole lot that can position us for success. This is success leave clues. And I
Mhm.
do believe that once you get the mind program and focus on the clues, it really begins to help you to understand some of the laws, some of the strategies, the tools, the processes that you can now systemize and make it your own as you go on that pathway to accomplish greatness. Now, I'm going to start by wrapping up, but I want to make a couple of statements and then I'm going to come to everyone else to give their closing remarks. One of the things that we have seen is that you have the potential to achieve greatness. But I know, and this is not what is important. It is important for you to notice that you have the ability to be great. You have it inside of you. And what you need to do is to honor that, embrace that, all right, as an essential part of you. And what I have found, however, is that very often when you begin to recognize that you have rich potential to achieve greatness, you tend to do multiple things at a time. And one success cancels the other. And let me talk about this a little bit. In recognizing that there are millions of people that have great potential and you're chasing after great things, we see sometimes what you do, you should shoot yourself in the legs because you're doing multiple things at once. And one of the things that we advise is that you must spend time to master what we call your MVO. Your MVO meaning your minimum viable offer, your most viable offer. You want to identify an area that you have expertise in. And you want to commit the time, the talent, and the resources to become a subject matter expert in that one field. I'm not saying to you that you're not going to learn multiple things, but I'm saying at the beginning of this process, you want to learn one thing. And you really want to commit the time, the talent, and the resources to master that. And this is where we talk about mastering the 1 in 10 factors of brand selection. And let me tell you why I'm saying this. Peter and Frank spoke about the fact that you don't understand the laws, you don't understand the processes, you don't understand the system. And to make matters worse, you're not going after one thing, you're going after multiple dreams simultaneously without having all the facts. So the die is cast for you to self-sabotage. Going after one project, one goal, one big dream, it means that you also should take into consideration that there are factors influencing a desired outcome. You have human factors that is going to influence a desired outcome. Do you have the right relationships with the right people that is going to help you to influence a desired outcome? Perhaps you have a great project idea. All right, you're a subject matter in a particular field. You have now committed the time to embrace self-mastery. You have mastered a particular field, but what does it take to move that vision forward? Do you have the right relationships with the right people? Perhaps it might be having a relationship with a private equity investor. Perhaps it may entail having relationships with, a debt financial specialist. Perhaps it might means having relationships with social media influencers. But you need the human resources, you also need the technical resources, and you need the capital resource to move a vision forward. But here is where you're fighting with multiple things, one canceling the other, because you don't understand the pathway to actualize self-mastery in a particular field. Again, I want to emphasize that the Science of Success University, we will continue to bring this body of knowledge to you. Why? Because we understand your struggle. We have been in that struggle years ago. We are out of it now. We are packaging our experiences. We are packaging research data. We are packaging academic realities. And we're going to bring this to you because we want to set you up for success. So whether you're in business or life, you want to be successful in business or in life, understanding how to master your MVO, your minimum viable offer, your most viable offer is important. Understanding how to master your MVTM is really taking the time to understand your ideal client and putting yourself in that position of strength where you're truly able to innovate products and services that aligns with their needs, wants, and expectations. To be able to do this and do this effectively, there's a pathway to help you to understand this. And if you don't understand this, you're going to fail. You see, building a business is not necessarily about you. It's not about your ego. It's largely about you understanding people, what are their pain points, and aligning productivity and service orientation to fulfill those needs. But there's so much more that you need to understand when you want to be successful. We have developed a step-by-step approach that's going to set you up for success. I'm going to pause here for now because there's so much to say. And when I get going, sometime we're going to take the whole day. I got so much to get done. So I'm going to turn to Peter now. And I'm going to ask you to give us your closing thoughts on today's topic. All to you, my friend.
Indeed, Gary. There's so much to say. There is so much to bring across, and it's and this is how we understand it. Even as we talk about master, because when you begin to master a particular a topic, you do understand that mastery is not about yourself, right? You come to a level, because as we go through the various levels of um of gathering the information or understanding the laws that are applicable to that particular area that you're seeking to master, you will finally reach a level where you do recognize that the body of information that you have to you have to bring it to other people. It has to be communicated to others. And the sense of mastery is that you have a responsibility to mentor others. And just as you mentioned a while ago, the body of information becomes, you feel as if you're bursting at the seams, because you have gathered all this information, that it has to be, is as if you have become pregnant with this information, and that pregnancy makes you uncomfortable. You have to give birth, and that is how we can measure when you're entering into that state of mastery, because you become pregnant with what you have been researching and studying, and the disciplines that you have been developing over time, where you now have to release that, so that it itself, that information, can find root in other people's lives. And if we continue to do that, so in essence, what I'm saying is, what is success where life is concerned, and how do we really attain the human growth and the development that we are seeking to have? How do we develop as a species? How do we reach that place where, as a species, we can look at ourselves and we can have that sense of accomplishment, that we are doing well? It is when an individual is not just satisfied with his own growth and development, but he understands, or he or she understands, that growth and development also means that those who are around them is also attaining that level of growth and development in their life. So, but lastly, I want to say this, Gary, is that the mastery of life is understanding what life is, right? And when we understand life as a system, defining life, our definition in the human growth program, our definition that we have given to life, is that life is the continuity. Life is a system of continuity. Life is a system. Life, first of all, we have to understand that life is a system. This thing, this around us that we call life, what is it? Life is a system. How do we grapple? How do we grasp the concept of what life is, right? Life is a system of continuity. The very essence of life is that life lasts, life continues. It is a system of continuity, but life does a couple of things. It protects. Life is a system of continuity that protects. Life is a system of continuity that preserves, and then propagates itself. Life is a system. It propagates itself. It causes itself to continuous, and it is serving a purpose. So within that definition, we can apply that now life, for life as a system to propagate, that is how we now understand the laws, that life now has certain sets of laws, because life is about propagating itself. Life doesn't care about life. Life has no favorites, if I should say it that way. Life is all about whoever will work with it, will cause it to propagate and cause it to be preserved, or cause it to be, or and so life will protect those who seeks to propagate life. And the opposite of that is true, because life is designed to protect itself. If there is somebody or anything within life that is not causing life to continue, life deems excuse me, life deems that individual now as a threat. And when life deems us as a threat, then life itself will go after you. So what is why people don't why individuals don't succeed, or why bad things happen to, it's because life itself has to protect life, the laws that governs life. It is similar to Gary, like when you inhale something, or something goes in your biological system that disrupts the normal function of your biological process. Your body now sends out, your cells in your body begins to scream, intruder, intruder, intruder. And the body now, the immune system now goes after that foreign entity. And the whole process or program of life is to grab that thing and flush it out of the body before it takes root and destroys the biological system. That is how life works. So when we understand the laws, so that is why it is important for us to understand the laws that governs how life works. And success is just do what the law says. And let me reiterate, Garrett, that I'm not talking about rules, human rules. You like to talk about the science. The science. It is the science, the way how it is. And science is the study of how things work. We can't just figure that I'm going to implement what I think needs to go. That is not the way how it works. I can't say I disagree with gravity. There's no way I can come and we can have a debate and say, Gary, I decide I'm not going to do the gravity thing. That is, life doesn't work like that. Okay, it's okay for me to have that opinion that I do not agree with gravity. Well, gravity will say, okay, go ahead and step off the building. So we have to understand that life.
Stop making me laugh, buddy.
So that is how. So the more we understand the laws that goes into this system of continuity that protects, preserves, and propagates itself for the purpose that it is designed to serve, that is how now we begin to succeed, because now we become in alignment with life itself, and things become more easier. The complexities become simplified, and we're now able to flow with more with ease, and life now begins to work for us. Life now is now designed to cause us. Life now begin to push us forward and cause us to go. So, but lastly, I'm going to close it off with this, Garrett. What we see in our world today, the chaos that we see in our world today, and I believe that all the chaos in the world today can begin to be solved overnight when we understand, what am I dealing with here? and what are the laws that must be applied for the end result of for everybody. Because all of us has the way how life functions is that life is not one thing to life is not subjective. It's not one thing for you and then a separate thing for me. No, if gravity is gravity, gravity works wherever, universally. So when we can understand what is the laws, even what is happening in the Middle East, what are the laws of relationship and coexistence? Because I cannot have one in the, both have to come to the realize that life is here for everybody. And there are parameters. Life gives parameters. So if you keep your parameters and I keep my parameters, and I decide that you have a right to be in your parameter and I have a right to exist in my parameter, it's done. So no matter how, and that is just the way how life function. Life give you parameter, Gary, and you know when I'm infringing it on your parameter. As you stand where you are, once I step within certain feet, certain length in your proximity, you begin to feel threatened because you feel as if I'm encroaching on your personal space. So all throughout life, if we just understand that there are laws that governs the way how this the process, there is a law that governs this particular process, and once I respect those laws and respect the process, then it becomes simple, and we can enjoy the now we can begin to enjoy the life that we're all talking about.
Yeah, I think that we all all of humanity, you are deserving of happiness. You are deserving of health. You're deserving of wealth. So a large part of our role is to definitely put you on that pathway and to bring you closer and closer to achieving that. And Peter, it was good listening to you talk about the law of nature. I call it the law of nature. And I think if people can really take the time to understand nature, what gravity says, and how to work in alignment with gravity and not against gravity, I think that there's so much of lessons to be learned
Mm.
um, by studying those realities. And I do believe that having a knowledge of these things can really set you up for success. And that's definitely some of what the Science of Success University is going to be bringing to people. It is time that you start asking yourself for the scientific proof. There's too much that has been said that is totally misguiding you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, largely because you are not trained to think in science. You're trained to think in applying a theory.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But I want to say this. We have so much belief in humanity that we believe that when you bring yourself to that point to master who you are, yes, it's going to take some time to get you there. It's a process. But when you get to that point and you begin to now really activate your prefrontal cortex and really go into what critical thinking is all about and becoming an independent thought leader, you're going to see that there's so much that has been said to you that is a misrepresentation of the facts. All right. When you started thinking science and you started thinking the theory and the practice to achieve a desired outcome, there's so much that you begin to reveal for yourself. So, in conclusion, I want to say this: you are great, regardless of where you were born, regardless of where you're at. As a human being, you have the potential to achieve greatness. And I don't want you to give up on yourself. I don't want you to put yourself into that box where something that happened in the past that was designed to force you to have this falsified notion of defining yourself to define who you are. Because you have the ability, as you begin to look at self mastery, to say to yourself right here and right now, I'm going to open a new chapter in my life. And I'm going to make a commitment to self, where every day I'm investing to have value that people value. Every day I'm investing to become value that people value. Every day I'm investing to give value that people value. In other words, I'm saying the more that you set yourself up to master who you are, you become more valuable to yourself, you become more valuable to your loved ones, you become more valuable to your community, organization, and the world at large. And all we are simply saying here to you, you owe it to yourself to invest in you, to master who you are. And some of the areas that we want you to master is to master the knowledge of wealth creation. Why not? So pathway 5 is really going to help you to understand the pathway to big ticket thinking. And what is the pathway to big ticket thinking? We're going to talk to you about how capital market operates. So you understand capital markets, you know how to access capital markets, you know how to leverage capital market, and you know how to mitigate it. I know it's a whole lot I'm saying here. But you owe it to yourself to master this body of knowledge. Why not? It might sound difficult to the average person, but you don't have to start by poking in your mouth all what you can't eat. You can take baby steps. You can take chunk bites. And that's what we want to do for you. So you understand these processes so you can better set yourself up for success. So with that being said, again, I want to thank our listening audience from across the world who have taken the time out to view this program. And I also want to encourage those who are viewing who have not yet subscribed to subscribe to the platform, so you will be the first to get these content that we're bringing to you on a regular basis. So with that being said, I noticed that Frank had to leave, and we have to definitely continue this conversation. Next week, I think Peter, I think I want to take some of what Frank would have said. You know, he talked about happiness, so we could probably look at the pathway to happiness. He identified three things: relationship, health, and money. And I see you're into the health talk, because I see you talking about putting the wrong food into the body, and then how the body defends itself against the attacker. So perhaps we can go a little bit into some of those conversations next week and
Right.
bring some more light to those issues. So with that being said, I want to thank Frank in his absence for being here, and Peter. Always good to have you on these programs and have you share from a theological standpoint. Because we have various type of audience. We got audience from India, from China, from various parts of the world who are not well identified with a lot of what you are saying. So thanks again for coming out and supporting the platform. And to the audience, it's Friday, so make sure you develop your gratitude board, and let today be that day that you can say to yourself, I'm going to pour into me. I'm going to invest in me. I'm going to make me a number one priority. And when you do that, you're going to start to see some great things happening. And if you need help in this regard, feel free to reach out to us. Have a great weekend ahead.